You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome back to another midweek AFL Fantasy preview on the Insight Fantasy Sports channel. It's me, Bryce, here as always, going through. Bye rounds are done. We are back to best 22, which I think will benefit my team, more than hinder it, unlike some others, because a lot of people have had those really high ceiling scores and like lower ones that they can hide behind, whereas I think I've had a pretty broad sort of range of just a lot of mid scores, which I suppose we'll have a look at now before we preview the rest of the games, I suppose. So I'm almost sneaking into the top 10k. After last week, I tell you what, with me resting Zorko, Holmes, Merritt, Martin, and Smith, that's 5 premiums. A lot of people were only resting 4, some even 3. I'm real happy with that. I'll get them back this week. I suppose a quick summary: nailed that Dacos captaincy. He was, back to his best as a certified Dacos hater. Just getting those easy, just 1-2 run behinds, but that's story for another time. A lot of guys, Petrarca coming back into some form with a 105, Rosie 120. Sheezel's a bit of a worry, just sticking him half forward again, low CBAs and kicked out of half back with the likes of, McKercher and Daniel there. But he'll get back in the middle, I'd like to think. A few low scores in there, like I mentioned. Dylan Moore subbed out on a 74. He was on track for a 110, 120 type score, which sucks, as he was the one I traded in this week. Also Mills 67 there, but what can you do about those? We'll go into... So we don't want to judge it just off a round-to-round basis, because I think before that, I jumped 800 spots with that. But since the start of the bye round, which would have been round 12, I want to say. I think. So around 11. Yeah, we were... Over the course of the whole buys, we jumped from, 15k to about 10k, which, honestly, I probably shouldn't have been in that position anyway. But doing the best we can with what we have. A couple of shocking weeks in there as well, but we're back round 17. I've currently got my trades set as long out and green in. It's between him and Caldwell, but I just can't not have Tom Green against West Coast this week. He might even be a captaincy shout, to be honest, so that's why I went that direction. And then roasting into the midfield for Boxall, just a red dot for red dot swap. I could trade Johnson out rather than Boxall and then have that looping option there. But I just need the extra cash, to be honest. I'm a bit behind in that department, so if I have to sacrifice, Berry getting a 60 and Roaston getting a 70 and sacrifice those 10 points for that cash, I'm happy to do it. So that's how the team is looking. I suppose we'll go into the previews of the round and see what it is we're really looking at.
It's time for some news from around the league.
So as we get the fixtures up for this week, not last week, this week, opening game, North v Dogs. So what we really want to be doing with our teams now is just loading up those premiums. We should be at 22 premiums at this point. I'm sitting at 22, best 22 hopefully. In terms of premiums, I'm just short a couple there. It's just a lot of debatable ones. Do you call Daniel a premium? Do you call McKercher, Mills a premium? Do you even call Sinclair? Yeah, you would. But that's the aim for these ones. So we're not really going to be looking at anyone else other than our premiums and sort of deep diving onto them. English there, owned by, I think it was 8% of the top 1,000. He, had a bit of a hobble, didn't he? Against, oh my God, Sydney, where he was getting bossed by Brodie Grundy. So he's not someone I'd be confident in, but you just hold on to him if you have him. Sheasel, we talked about before, just low on CBAs. I might actually have those stats on hand. It was in the 40s. That might even be being generous, to be honest. Sheasel had 24. And it's an ugly role. He's just been tossing and turning over. The only two people on this earth, I'm pretty sure, that want him to play half forward are Kane Corns and obviously their coach in Clarko as well. But yeah, real annoying one, but he's also a hold since if he gets his role back, he'll be there. Kennedy's best 22 in the forward line. He'll be a top 6. Drops a little bit of cash and now has a break even of 129, which could he do against North Melbourne? Maybe. But I'm not going to be trading into him until he's really bottomed out, and I can jump onto him myself. Daniel's in there doing a job. I was about to say an okay job. Yeah, 70s and stuff. Yeah, it's all right. He'll need to go soon, but for now he can stay for now. So that's Kennedy. Sort of my thoughts on him. Jerry as well. He's had a rough last 5. What's he gone? Him being in my team, I would know. Yeah, since his last 5, he's gone a 86, 111, 93, 84, 93. So he's averaging, that would be in the 90s, I think, which isn't what you want for a premium pick like him. But you have to give him this matchup against the Dogs at the very least. English is battered. Jerry should get plenty of those tackles, plenty of stoppage. How have his tackle numbers have really... 3 tackles against Hawthorn. He's getting bodied by Big Meeky, but he's one. At least give this week, and then if you want to jump off him when he's against Gorn, I understand that. Now, Bont is interesting. You just can't rule him out. Maybe I'm deluded by that. Maybe that's going against one of my commandments about trading in a player just due to the name in the bottom right there for round 13 for our visual listeners. But look, he has a history of massive scores, 930k, and he's still at a high break even. So if you don't have him, here's another one you could maybe even wait a little bit on. North and Adelaide, Brisbane, and Essendon. Not an easy fixture on, but he's just all class, Bontempelli. So I think don't trade into him, but he's also obviously not a trade out for a player of his caliber. Moving to Dale, same again. He's in the mix for that D6 spot. We'll be talking about that a lot, and people are probably going to get sick of me talking about my rolling 22. Sheasel might even be out of it now. Whitfield's sort of there, but not really. I think Holmes gets a buff in his spot. He's probably in my D6 at the moment, just due to his run. You know, Richmond twice, North are in there, St Kilda are in there, Essendon are there too, so he probably moves in. But Dale's in the mix, so you want to keep him there. How are his tags looking? Because we saw him cop it last week, where he started off absolutely firing, but then just dropped off there. He started... So he's got... North don't, Adelaide don't, Brisbane don't, Essendon don't. Okay, so I think he's safe from the sort of tag as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, he's not a trade-in, but keep him there. I suppose, from here, who else do we have that's really relevant? Well, we've got Caleb Daniel. He's reaching the end of his run. The break-even's up at 90. I'm just wanting a bit more cash for me before I can jump off him. I reckon he might even be a next round trade out if there can be a forward that bottoms out for me. It'd have to be Kennedy at this rate, I think. I'm already rolling with Smith, Martin, Jackson, Petrarca. They're all locks for the top 6. I've got Dylan Moore, but you would have a case for the likes of a McRae or a Grant Myers with that draw that I bought out. But I just think, Moore's been there, done it before. Myers is just a bit scary, and a half forward, dips in the midfield role as good as he is, and McRae just hasn't done enough to impress me just yet. So, yeah, he's someone that you can trade out. I think he's topped up in price, and he's not going to be a premium scorer. So he's one that you can put on the list there. And Sam Darcy last week, 3 goals, 10 touches, was it? And this is the exact reason I was talking about. Even as good as he is, you just can't get away with trading in key forwards. A lot of people are stuck with him. I say stuck. Is he... 94 break even. Yeah, yep, this is why. You keep an eye out for those key forwards because you don't know when they can destroy you. Look, he could go big against North, but then he has Crows pretty solid defensively, Brisbane pretty solid. He's obviously not in that mix for the top 6 forwards. So he's not one I would have at this stage of the season. And I think that does it for us there. Yep. We can move into the second game. I've got Dogs by a reasonable margin, 40 against North, I'd say. So the Friday night double header. I know a lot of people aren't happy with this. I'd rather maybe the extra game on Sunday, but then people complain about it. There's a big boy break. Big boy, maybe 20-minute break between these 2 games. Then you have a double header Saturday. That's fine. There's not a lot they can really do. I think it's just one game too many away from being comfortable. Comfortable fixturing. Maybe. Yeah, the only thing is those Sunday night games, since they're in Perth, but they probably get sick of always playing on Sunday night, so you can understand that. Friday night doubleheader, I suppose, was the best chop after all. Now, Dacos we talked about earlier, he's proved he can do it even with tags, and he's back to being his number one, pig 1-2, uncontested marks best, which we love in fantasy, not so much in the real world footy. So he's an easy lock for your 8 mids. He's an easy trade in. Darcy Cameron's in the mix as rucks. I'm not going to spend too much time because I feel like there are about 6 or 7 under the blanket that could be your R2. Chera is an interesting one because a lot of people have said that holding on to Chera is an acceptable one, and I just can't bear it. I think he's not going to be in your best 8. His price is one of your best 8. You can straight swap him. You can make money on him to go for him to Tom Green. Like, Green's going to average more than him on the way home. Even with Walsh out was the justification for it, but Green, you spend 50, 100k, get him to a Caldwell who's a certified gun, players like that. So Chera is a trade out for me, definitely, before you start to lose all that cash and great work that he's put in. And you never know, you get stuck with these kind of players as well. So take him out while you can if you're an owner of him. Josh Dacos, again, won't spend too much time on, but under that D6 blanket. No Walsh, no DeConnick, and that's about it for those. I suppose Ned Long, one of my trade outs, pretty similar to Chera, to be honest, in the same vein that he's made your money. He's not going to be a top 8, high break even. He's going to start losing cash. Just take it while you can. pretty much the same story as Chera. He is one you can upgrade on. Firm handshakes all around. Thank you for your service, Ned. Who else have we got? Sorry about a tapper, just checking the mic was on. No, that's it. For those games, I've got Collingwood by 2 or 3 goals. I don't think it's going to be as big as a whitewash as people think it is. It's a real chance for Carlton to prove something. What that is, I don't know. Where they're going to find it, I'm even more concerned about. But I think they'll have some fighting to do, the Blues. On to West Coast and GWS. What premiums have we got for this game? Well, we have Lockie Ash, again, under that blanket. He's averaged a whole lot more than a lot of people, though. Doesn't have Whitfield to contend with, and they're against the West Coast, so he might go big this week. But I just can't justify trading into someone with a 111 break even at this point of the season. I think people are too obsessed with getting the best players now. They still forget about value, but I think it's still, 7 weeks away? So, yeah, plenty to still focus on in that regard. Obviously, averaging big 104 for Lockie Ash. Just want to see something with him because, yeah, you don't imagine he'll be above Miller, Rosie, Zorko. Maybe Sheasel. I don't know. If you've got him, he's under the blanket, so keep him there. If not, you can trade him out. Pretty simple. Whitfield obviously injured for this game, which I'm, as a non-owner, I'm okay with. I just want him to start dropping cash already, to hurry up, get low, so that I can trade him in, because I'm confident he'll be in back there. He's had a couple of strange games at half forward. Obviously, that concussion knock on the 23 week before last, but it'll work into our hands, fortunately for us. He might be one you can go from Mills to in the coming weeks, which I think will be an absolutely outstanding trade, personally. So yeah, Whitfield, still a keeper. What do you do if you own him and you held him through the bye? I think you hold him again for 1 more week since he's not going to be out. It'll be a waste of 2 trades to go trade him out, trade him in for the run home, especially back when we're only down to 2 trades. So Whitfield is a keep if you've got him, but obviously not playing this week. Tom Green, my trade in this week, and for good reason. He finally went off with that lovely 119 against the Suns. Pretty good matchup. West Coast next week. He's shown he can average big, gets marks, gets tackles, lots of tackles actually. That's when he's at his best. He'll get you your touches and everything that you want in a midfielder. Yeah, he's probably my M7, I reckon, in my rolling 22. And yeah, under a mil with a lowish break even of 98. He's one that I'm obviously very happy to jump onto because I did jump onto him. It's a big tick for me. Tom McCarthy, I think, because of it's not actually out of a want, it's more of a need. I'm benching McCarthy. I'm trying to find a way to field him, but it's just not worth turning my team over for. Since I've only got those 8 mids, 8 defenders, he has to be in there. He's not going to play in front of any of my top 6, so he's on the bench for now, but I would not panic if you have him on field. I think he's fine and will do almost that of a premium. People talking about looping him with someone like a Mills, where he plays first, so you take a 90 out of him. Anything below, you might want to go Mills. Maybe an 80 even. Yeah, it's to your own discretion, but yeah, Tom McCarthy, just fine to be there in your D6. Callahan, don't think is going to be a keeper. I mean, it's a point of difference if you want to go with him, but I just think he has that too much inside syndrome for my liking. Yes, that's down Callahan. I can't tick it off. And that's about it for sort of keepers, I suppose. I don't see anyone else down here being one of them. No, if you have anyone down here, it's time to trade them out. I suppose. That's done for Friday night. Saturday for the Bombers versus Suns. We have Caldwell on top. He's also a trade-in himself. Sat there at 1.047 mil, so 1,047,000, 95 break even, so it's even lower than Tom Green's. He's averaged 106 for the year. You know, big average in his recent form as well. Love it. He's got Richmond next week, which is why I'll trade into him then, and that'll be my midfield more or less complete. Very chuffed with that. He's a great option, and if I wasn't trading in Green, he's the one that I would have been trading in. Go to... Oh yeah, Nick Martin next. Keeper forward. I think you should have him. If not, what do you do? I suppose you wait for him to drop down cash. He's at 147 break even. You can get him for a bargain, but he will be in those top 6 forwards. Anderson just has too much of that inside time for me, and that was, shown in that game against Geelong when he had the 60. Another 93 against Melbourne's pretty average. He's underpriced, 109 break even. Not for me when you have Green and Caldwell there. So it's not a tick on Anderson, not at all. If you have him though, he'll be under that blanket as well. But in terms of trades in, Caldwell and Green is where I would be looking this week. Now, Zach Merritt, my goodness. Firstly, you can't trade into him. But we talked about it last week on the preview show. Merritt is just sitting at a 136 break even, nearly down at 800k at 57 in his pre-buy, averaging about 70s in his last 4 games for a premium out of 54 back there as well. He has been atrocious since I bought him in. Real season ender. But Suns and Richmond next 2, you have to give him these 2 at least. A bit similar to Jerry, where you give him this week against English. You give Merritt these 2 if you held on to him, and then you can ship him off if you're not happy with his output. But Essendon struggling. Him at half forward, half back, wing, everywhere that isn't in the cut and thrust of it all at the drop of the ball. Yeah, God, his CBAs were averaging about low 80s, high 70s, and then these last few weeks he's gone 14%, 32, 74, 48. So he's gone averaging about 40s now. So Merritt, he should get pushed into the midfield again. You'd expect that as a bare minimum. Even then, you give him this week. This week's just a free look, and then you give him next week as the real sort of decider if he doesn't go well. But if he's in the midfield, he should go back to his regular scoring, and he'll be there for you. To get you points in your best 8 midfielders, hopefully. There for Zach, I held personally, so fingers crossed for me. And that's it for the keepers. I think Rouse had a good little last few weeks, but just too expensive for what his ceiling scores are. Takes us to Geelong versus Richmond. So this is where we're going to be talking some Geelong players for sure, obviously. Smith, he's going to be my vice-captain for this week. He's just going to run around and do whatever the bloody hell he wants. Must own. Yeah, 1.2 mil. Everyone has him. I don't think I need to speak too much on Bailey Smith. Holmes, again, he's gotten a bit expensive now after a few good weeks. Has max 1.06 mil. And even after that 71 against the Lions in that demolition, he's only at a 114 break even for over a mil. So yeah, could you trade into him? Is a good question. I'd say yes. I could tick it off. I think he should have a big score this week and shouldn't drop too much cash. So he's a great pick. More so if you think he's going to be your D6 for the run home, which I'm definitely happy with. I'll tick that off for sure. Myers averaging a tick under 94, but most of that will be in the back half of this. 106, 137, 108, 112. So that's averaging about a 115 in these last few before, again, Brisbane anomaly. But he's still making money. 2 Richmonds in their draw, a North in their draw, St Kilda in their draw. I don't trust him, personally. But if you have him, go for it. He proved me wrong before. He'll probably do it again. So Guy Myers, a fine pick to have there. Not a trade-in, though. Then what have we got here? Prestia, Taranto. Nank, injured short. Jeez, that guy's derailed my season. It's a lesson for next year, though. And yeah, that'd be it for the keepers from that. I forgot to say, Giants by 4 goals. Essendon by... no, whoa. Give me a minute. Gold Coast by 2 or 3 in Melbourne. I think Essendon will put up a bit of a fight. And we'll go with the Cats by... jeez, take your pick. 10 by 60. Over to the Gabba on Saturday night for the reigning Premier's first Saturday night home game, might I add, in round 17. Just fucking diabolical, honestly. But we got there in the end. Connor Rosie, obviously, will be a keeper. Premium defender for you. Yeah, showed that why last week against Carlton. It was West Coast week after this. And just doing his thing back there. Looks so graceful when he's zooming around, taking marks as well on Rosie. So he's should be there. Zorko, the same, just controlling everything. A lot of people trade him out, which I find very, very interesting to do. Off the back of a 114 to 124 against 2 not easy teams. He'll be commanding it back there like he always does. And why people would be trading him out, I would not have a clue, because he's probably going to keep going up in price, you'd imagine too. McCluggage, I think he's too much of a low disposals, high damage player. But look, he's up, 50k for the season. He's just been dropping consistent 90s and 100s. Don't imagine he'll get tagged. But a high break even means can't trade him in. Yeah, not one for me. Dunkley's in next, which we know what his potential is. We know what he's capable of, and he hasn't been doing that as of recent. But I'm not ruling out a turnaround for Dunkley. Down in 926k. Only a 95 break even. He's value as well. My rankings would go with Tom Green first, Caldwell second, and him third, just because his fixtures are nowhere near as friendly. But yeah, he's a great pick, and just hold on to him if you have him. He'll bounce back, I promise. Butters again. Now the thing with Butters was that he had, I'm getting that right, 30 disposals in a game last week. Scored 79. Is that what you want from your premium? Our premiums, I'd rather him get 25 touches, but having a big, 120 score just because of your marks, your tackles, all that kind of thing. people did say he gave away 2 free kicks in a row, which would have taken up to, an 89 or a 90, and then everything would have been okay. But I don't know, dude. I'm not sure if I can confidently go into Zach Butters after what I've seen from him there. And then, yeah, Ashcroft's not a keeper. Wines, Neil. So you chuck, again, Butters, Dunkley, McCluggage into that blanket for your M8. Bergman we could talk about. I just don't trust the role enough for him to be a premium. Horn Francis, obviously, we know what's been happening with him. He's just been absolutely nowhere. So, yeah, I'll go Lions by 30 in that. I'm pretty confident, although we make it look hard against the easy teams and most of the harder teams to get up on. St Kilda versus Hawthorn will be an interesting game. I think Wanganeen Malira's just locking himself in as a D1 defender. He's pushing Sinclair off of kick-ins. He's run, get the ball back, will take on a player. Plenty to like about him, so he is in here. Marshall under that Ruck 2 blanket, can't say much more than that. Sinclair's an interesting one. He's just been an absolute yo-yo this year, just up and down, but I wouldn't be trading out of him for what he's at and what he needs to get to. The script isn't half bad. And yeah, he's just in a bit of a slump, so I'm not worried about Sinclair at all. McRae, if I read out his previous scores for this year, leading into this, 75, 84, 82, 104, 89, 95, 83, 59, 84. He just seems to have that sort of 80s level is where he's at the moment, which just isn't good enough. Unfortunately, he'll probably drop a bit more cash, so even more reason to not trade him in this week. Pretty sure Hawthorn are a hard team to score against a midfielder. Steele isn't in the mix. Newcomb isn't in the mix. Yeah, that'll do for them. Where are we? Marvel. Hawthorn by 10. Or by 2 kicks to St Kilda as we get to the pointy end. Sydney v Frere at the SCG, which actually might surprise you, is going to lead us to my drumroll, please. The Hall of Lame for this week, and it was a pretty, I say easy one. I had Tom Lynch in there, but at least Lynch's was somewhat, he's a competitor. His team's getting smashed. He's getting none of it. He's getting pocketed by this guy. It's just pure frustration and let that out. There is no excuse for this as the Sydney groundsman there, ground staff, slipping all over the place. Same end. Happened weeks ago against Port Adelaide, and there have just been emails come out now where Port have been saying that, they've notified the AFL of this and nothing's improved. So it's just awful. Justin Longmuir's come out and said that he's worried about the surface. We had a Bailey Williams sort of sidestep thing, which a lot of people thought was going to end in an ACL. Real ugly, dangerous stuff at the SCG, and I just hope we're as lucky as last week when no one comes out of it with any sort of leg injuries, to be honest, because it would not surprise me if that was something that happened while the surface was the way it is, to be honest. That's it for the inductee for this week. As we look over the nominees, 2/3 of the way through, we've got a few of me in there. We've got some apologies from AFL umpires and things, some teammates getting burned, teammates getting shouted at, coaches making excuses, poor performing teams, and Carlton against Richmond, Hawthorn against Port, and Essendon against... Who is the Essendon one against? It was against someone. That shouldn't surprise you as well. Yeah, Sydney got thwacked by... I can't remember who it was. But, yeah, a few in there. Stephen May shouting at Gawn wasn't on. Just got some Twitter beef going around the AFL community. And, yeah, just real wall there you don't want to find yourself on, obviously. So we'll bring it back to the Sydney Freo game. We're here to talk fantasy. Brayshaw will be a top 8 midfielder. He's looked great. Sarong's been taking the tags for him, and he's just such a fantasy relevant player. It's just got the marks, the tackles, obviously disposals, kicks. Just outstanding. And what's what you want in your team? A little bit of Andy Bray. Now I saw for Sydney, and I think it's who I thought it was. It is Brodie Grundy. We need to have a talk about this guy because I say about a lot of the players I'm picking, they've done it in the past. They've proven what they can do. This guy was averaging 130 5 or 6 years ago, and he's looking like he's doing it fucking again. Just hasn't scored 110 or below in 7 weeks. He's got double prong Jackson, and Darcy, and then Ron Marshall, and then Sherry. So I could slow him down a bit. But if you picked him as the your R2 in that week where you could have swapped him with Gawn, or even you can call him a fucking R1 now. It's just outstanding. Coaching from you if you did. So well done. You leave it if you didn't. These rucks are just yo-yoing all over the place, so you can't make those sort of knee-jerk reactions to a player in form, which will probably be in my commandments, to be honest. Anyway, Jackson will be a top 6 mid as well. He's averaging about 100. Had that massive game last week, obviously. That big 144. Goes 107 again. Look at that. Only 15 disposals for it as well. 8 tackles. Getting 4 marks. He's got 2 goals, 1 in this one. Low break even still, so you can still go into him if you don't have him. And if you don't have him, you need him. So he's someone I 100% give the thumbs up to. Goulden, I'm going to wait another week on. But if you do jump on him this week, it's impatient, but it's okay. He's probably going to be in there as well. Looking at his game last night, obviously sensational. But, didn't even feel like he really imposed himself on the game or changed it. He was just out back doing his thing on the wing, coming into the midfield. 30 touches if you don't mind. And welcome back, Errol, as the Supercoach boys love shouting out. I'd just wait a little bit on him because he's still got that higher break even where he could bottom out and you could pick him up then. Sarong, just a bit too much inside time, but he's in the conversation. Jordan Clark, I think teams going to start putting attention into him. Heaney is a no for me just because of that inside time and not exactly fantasy relevant. He had to kicked 5, got 21 touches and still only had a 117. I know only had a 117, but some players doing that would be popping big 130s, 140s. So he's not in the mix for me. Chad Warner, a lot of people have him forward. What did he get on the weekend? Still lost cash. Got himself up to an 89, and that's sort of what you can expect from him, which isn't F6 standard yet. He'll be in the blanket, but it's only, only his shins and his feet are being covered by it at the moment. He's not firmly under it, keeping warm. He just hasn't done it before, and I know I'm harping on about that a lot, but that's the main sort of reason why he's not there for me, just because similar to McCluggage, he's just not that kind of player. He's more low possession, high impact. And when he's not even getting rewarded for that, then not a lot you could do. go down to Mills, who had a disappointing one, and I'm really, really hoping he's not getting the curse that hit our man Perryman at the start of the year, where he's just in that awkward sort of pocket where he's not high enough to be receiving the ball, taking marks, tackles, and whatnot, but he wasn't low down enough to be the one kicking it or kicking it in or again getting those marks back. He's just in that awkward little pocket. Perryman was there. I think Houston's been there a bit as well. So I'm hoping that isn't the case with Cal, because he is again someone that has been there before. He had a 110 against Richmond, some easier fixtures: Freo, St Kilda, North. I think give him those three at the least. Don't rage react and trade him out now. Even if you can get a premium off of him, I think he still has a lot more to offer, does Callum. And that might be it for all of these guys. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm going to go with an upset. The only upset of my round. I'm going to go Freo by 4. Just think, team's too good. Even though the band's somewhat back together for Sydney, getting a lot of their stars back, I still think, what Freo have been doing is just, too strong for any of the other teams. The final game before we wrap this thing up, making good time as well. It's the Crows v Melbourne. Firstly gone. It's not an easy matchup against O'Brien. In fact, I think it's the third worst as a ruckman. The big lump himself O'Brien. Getting negate gone. He's going to go down in price, which is why people jumped off him when he was on that bye. Just looking at the run of hardest ruckman, third hardest, and second hardest in the next 3. But again, I didn't want to use 2 trades on it. I just wasn't in the position cash gen wise or team wise to be burning trades like that. So I'm going to be holding him and copping whatever happens his way. Dawson with a 110 average for the season. I still haven't got him. I was watching behind the couch last week against Richmond. He only got that 105, which I somewhat expected. Loses some cash. Goes to a 129 break even now. Melbourne aren't easy, but he's going to be might even be M1 this season, and I still haven't got him in. I know. What a great coach. Petrarca will be there in the forward line. He bounced back last week, didn't he? Still a lot to be, desired in terms of his use, but his proper win balling. Jesus, I need to check myself. Ball winning and just absolute grunt. 32 touches, 5 tackles, 3 marks. Just fantastic. If he sunk those 2 instead of kicking behind, he would have been on for a huge 110 plus 120 plus. So you hold on to him, and I think, is he bottomed out at 900 now? I would say yes. So he's one you could jump onto as well if you haven't got him. Last few players now. Laird is scary just because of what Nix does with the subs. You never know where he's going to throw Laird into, so I can't do it personally. And that's about it. Rankin hasn't done what he was doing at the start of the season. Started off last game bloody strong, I tell you, but the reason why he's someone you can't carry is just because that second half, that exactly showed why. One half that absolutely slaughtered it out. He still got his 20 touches. 20 touches and a goal. 3 marks and 5 marks, 4 tackles, 20 touches and a goal, and he's still only getting an 82. So, sorry, Isaac, you're out for me, and you're not in the rolling 22 best forwards. Although he could be. Maybe I could put the blanket on him. Put a toe. If Warner's got just the feet covered, Rankin's probably only got a toe. And that, we'll finish it for that game as well. I've got Adelaide winning by 20. And that's it for the episode. So I suppose we'll take the last little bit to have a look down into, what we're going to be doing for the week.
Targets acquired.
So we chuck it back to what my team was, yeah. So, basically getting out those mid prices and those sort of higher end mid prices really that are gonna start dropping in cash. This is what you had them in for. Flip them for your premiums, and you'll be sweet. I'm getting rid of a red dot rookie. You can get rid of a playing rookie if you'd like to keep those red dots for looping purposes, or if you're like me and your cash gen just isn't there, I would point you in the direction of getting rid of your red dots just to get some more rookies that are going to make some money that you can help trade out with. Because, let's use this for an example, right? So Boxall and Long, that's about 1.900 odd, 350, 1.25 mil, right? So if I wanted let's say Dawson, or let's use Grundy. I wanted to jump on a max value, fucking maxed out Grundy for whatever reason. At 1.15, I only have that 100 left in Boxall. I wouldn't be able to do it. Even if I was in like a must-need situation, I would not be able to. Whereas Roaston sits here for 2 or 3 weeks. He might not be looping, but he's looping his cash around and around with that big negative 22 break even. Gets him up to 500, 550k minimum. He'll obviously be there to get you, Grundy and your, much better rookie as well. Or at that stage, we just want red dots, but he'll get you the premium regardless, and have some cash left over for next week. So in terms of where I like to go to obviously see who is at value, just for a start, we'll be over here with our stats. We'll look at our rookies first and foremost. So the Archer Mays down there is not one to jump on, but to keep if you have. And this is obviously trade targets, so let's try and keep it that way. Yeah, Liddy's still cheap with a -6, and he showed his role looks pretty secure. Roaston's there, that -22. Obviously, Canelo coming back in a few weeks as well, but if he can just make you a little bit of cash before you can ship him off, like I mentioned before, that would be a fantastic one. Jackson back from the sub. He started off brilliantly and then sort of flopped, but he's an option there. Not a lot else from the rookie sort of standpoint. I just think it is McCarthy, Roaston, and Liddy right now. Very, very rare chance you'd own all three, especially Roaston, considering he didn't play last week as a rookie. So yeah, those are the ones for that. Now, I'm worried about a few. This is why you don't just pick the players with the lowest break-evens. Clark could get a tag at any point. Jordan might go to him this week. Doherty's job security and positional security are in some strife. Don't like it. Pendlebury's too inside. Witts isn't that guy. Obviously, Jackson's a big one if you haven't got him somehow. Couple here that you just don't really like. Hewitt could be a shout if you think you'll get back to what he was doing, and I don't see why not, to be honest. I just think he lacks that real ceiling score. Like, he had a highest of 120, 125 against Essendon, actually. And he's averaging 101, so it's real consistent. You want those guys with those big, big upsides as well. Grundy's there. Dunkley, I'll tick off gladly. Rao too much inside. Caldwell, he's a great tick there. Dex, obviously, if you need him. Tom Green's a big one too. McRae, you could, maybe not. I suppose we'll look at the tier below, which would have the likes of your Dylan Moore still at value, especially after a sub game, whereas break even was there. Your Dodge is 70 and you'll still get whatever he has left, so I don't mind that on Moore actually. Mills is there. Won't be a trade in, just in case he drops another score like that and you get stuck with him. But like I mentioned, also not a trade out. Yeah, not a lot really else there. I suppose Colby, if you don't have him, there he is. Yep, he's still making money. So he's obviously big trade in for you there. I don't think there's anyone in the price bracket below that we like. No, not really. I'm holding on to Perry because he's only got that 48 break even. Well, who's really I value my team. Yeah, McCarthy's a must-have if you haven't got him. Yeah, just a few other rookies and whatnot for me. So that's all I've got, I suppose. I mean, I'll be doing a watch-along, I'm thinking Thursday night for North v Dogs, which could be an absolute destruction. But on the other hand, it could also be a real entertaining one and give the Roos a real red-hot shot. The only real watchable game in there is Sydney v Freo, to be honest. So I'll see what I can do about that. But yeah, slim pickings for the watch-along. We always love seeing you there. And that's sort of enough from me. I'm happy with that. Good show. Yeah, pretty simple formulas now. The sideways trading hasn't quite yet started. It's just about completing your teams, filling in those gaps where you can. The last thing I might mention as well is that, yeah, I've got McCarthy on my bench, but if he's on your field, then that's completely fine as well. I might even prefer him over a Sam Berry on field, to be honest, so we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, smash like if you enjoyed. I really appreciate it. I'll obviously, be doing the watch along and meet you guys back here next week for a little sort of look at how my team went, how the trades went, and everything like that. Actually, how did the trades go last week, I suppose? I mean, Liddy did his thing, 60 from rookie is great. Moore was on track for a 110, then got subbed out, and then Mills flopped. So a bit of a mixed result after those trades. But yeah, all the best for your fantasy weeks, and I'll talk to you soon.